Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ARPA Institute panel discussion. We're excited today. We have a very interesting discussion, and a very knowledgeable team of experts. So we hope that we're going to have a very interesting discussion. First of all, I'd like to say a few words about the ARPA Institute and its activities in Armenia. As many of you know, ARPA Institute has been working in Armenia for 31 years now. And we have several latest new projects. And one of them is a new Center of Excellence for Circuit Design that is being established in the National Polytechnic University. And the main idea is to promote research and development in circuit design, advanced circuit design. So we have already purchased all the instrumentation. They are going to be shipped soon. Teachers, about 8 teachers are being trained already. The software that will be used is the Cadence software, which is the mostly used software in circuit design, as I understand it. And eventually, the location and the rooms will be renovated, and therefore courses will be developed that will teach several different levels of circuit design, and eventually we hope to create even research capabilities in that area. The second important structure that we have established is a clean room in Armenia in the Alikhanyan National Lab, which is the former Physics Institute. And there, the structure has been already completed, but we have now started working on 2 new rooms to house some of the new instrumentation that we have provided. And eventually it will be a fully equipped clean room where scientists, even international scientists, can do experiments, can do advanced experiments on materials or quantum technology or any other areas. So that is the main objective, so that everybody, all the scientists in Armenia, will be able to use the facility. We're also working on science fairs in schools of Armenia, because we feel that from the school age, the children need to study and learn the importance and the significance of sciences that can bring important economic advantages for the country, and that they have to learn how to make decisions based on the scientific method. And that is what we are teaching. And also we are training the teachers in, right now we have about 17 schools in the Davush region where we are training teachers so that they can guide the students for developing critical thinking and innovation, and also be able to participate in the annual science fair that the government is organizing. ARPA Institute started the science fairs in Armenia in 2017, and we had the first science fair held in the Academy of Sciences, and then the government adopted the project, and they are now actually holding an annual invention competition in Yerevan. And so, if you are aware of any schools, or if you are in contact of any schools in Armenia, please encourage them to participate, because this is a very important project that we have. And also, of course, we are working with the universities and the many institutes of the Academy of Sciences, providing them with instrumentation, advanced scientific instrumentation, as well as guidance. Our experts work with some of the scientists in the different institutes, and therefore we try to provide also technology transfer, essentially. So if you have any expertise and would like to participate in our activities, please let us know and you can join us, and we can do more work in Armenia. And as you know, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So as I said, today we have a panel discussion on Armenia and space technology. The panelists are Mehrabyan, Masis Kumrikian, and Avetik Grigoryan. The latter two are the people who have worked on the latest satellite that was launched, the Hayasat-1, and they will be speaking about that. And the moderator is Tigran Shahverdyan. I will introduce Tigran first, and then he will introduce the speakers. Tigran is the co-founder and chief technology officer at RoboMart. He's the co-founder and member of the board of trustees at Bazunk, the Space Research Lab, and the co-founder and ex-vice president of engineering at RoboCV. He's an alumnus of the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology. His early career was in space exploration. During the last decade, he has been specializing in mobile autonomous systems, and he was recognized by Armenia's presidential, he received the presidential award in 2016 for a discovery in theoretical physics, and he is an active member of Kidush, which is also a very important organization that is working towards advancement of science and technology in Armenia. Tigran, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jakob, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. So let me just quickly introduce our panelists, and then I'll ask everyone just to briefly introduce their activities, and then we'll go towards a discussion with some questions. First in a panel, we have Mehrabyan, who is the founder and executive director of the Armenian Aerospace Agency, CEO and founder of Engined Incorporated and Engined Armenia, as well as CEO and co-founder at RN Mehrabyan Charitable Foundation. He has received his master's degree in physics from the Yerevan State University and a second master's degree from Polytechnic University of Armenia in theoretical physics of semiconductors and microelectronics. Mher has written numerous reports on the need for space technology in Armenia and advancement of science education. Next, we have Masis Kumrikian, who is the Technical Director of Space Programs at the Center for Scientific Innovation and Education, CSIE, and helped lead the Hayasat mission, Hayasat-1 mission, launched recently by SpaceX and now undergoing spacecraft initialization. Masis has an educational background in electrical engineering and 22 years of professional experience spanning RF, space systems, hardware development, systems integration, and engineering management across multiple large satellite programs ranging from development through operations. And our third participant is Avetik Grigoryan, who is the CEO and co-founder of Bazunk Space Research Laboratory in Armenia and one of the key players of the development and testing of the Hayasat-1. Avetik is an astrophysicist, has worked as a researcher in Grigoryan Observatory, led a laboratory of special techniques, and founded the AYAS, Armenian Aerospace Society for Students. Some of his graduates has worked on the Hayasat-1 program. Avetik is teaching an introductory aerospace course for master's program of the National Academy of Sciences of Armenia. He has received several awards and has publications and technical reports. So thanks Mher, Masis, and Avetik for joining to this panel. I'll suggest go just everyone up to 10 minutes. If you can just describe your activities regarding space research and technology in Armenia, and then we'll go towards the discussion. Let's keep it everyone limited up to 10 minutes, so we'll fit within the time. Mher, if you can start.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tigran and Jakob. Hello, everyone. So I'm introducing. I want to introduce Armenian Aerospace Agency. So a little bit historical or background. What was the goal and purpose to have Armenian Aerospace Agency. So in 2000, after 2020 war, I came back to Armenia, and under some critical circumstances, I decided to start developing the sphere of aerospace industry and technology and science in Armenia. The problems we see were three of them, major problems. The first one is the human resources, specialists, professionals in the sphere. So we have in Armenia we have limited, and I would like to say even very small quantity of specialists and scientists or engineers. But also we have a big community working in aerospace area in spread all of the world, starting from Russia to United States, Europe. So this is the first problem that we have just imaged, and the second one is there is no environment, and the third one is there isn't any infrastructure in Armenia to start with. So we started in 2021. I've started Mehrabyan Charitable Foundation. It's after my son. So he was martyred during 2020 war, and his dream was to Armenia to have space programs. So I have started Armenia Charitable Foundation to give aerospace engineering free of charge classes to young people that they are dreaming of becoming part of aerospace industry, aerospace science. So till now we have 430 alumni, and 85% of them. They are working with professions that they have received, they have learned in our Mehrabyan Foundation. So the second one, let's say, infrastructures. We have started to build aerospace lab. So laboratories that are including some wind tunnel, clean room with ISO 7 standard. So we have finished them, and we are also planning to expand that laboratory, so we can give a service to groups, to scientific engineering groups, to come and do their work in our labs. And we have small CNC and additive productions, which we are using for small quantity, high precision manufacturing, and for also for education purposes. So we have 3 education programs in starting programs, which are 3D modeling. We are teaching students SolidWorks and Fusion 360. And the second one is programming, and the third is aerospace engineering, so START program, which we are doing with CPAR. So we are collaborating with Pogosian, Rajui. So, and we are doing pretty much not so big steps, but also to change the environment of Armenian space, aerospace sphere. Most likely, we are trying to work with government, with government entities to put there a little bit more pressure from private sector, from our ideas, to bring them to a little bit organized, a little bit aggressive mode in developing Armenian aerospace sphere. Pretty much, we have a lot of issues in doing all the operations in Armenia, but actually we believe that through the idea that Armenia should be the superpower in aerospace sphere, we can solve a lot of problems for Armenia, for Armenians. Pretty much this much. No? Thank you.
Thank you, Mher. Thanks here for the introduction. Masis, could you please also tell about your activities. And Masis dropped. Masis, are you here?
I think he dropped out somehow. We can go to maybe Avetik first.
I think he's connecting. Just a second. Masis?
There he is. There he is, yeah.
Yeah. We can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry
Okay.
about that. Okay. Well, if you can hear me, let me start off by first thanking Hagop for arranging this discussion. I appreciate that. Thanks to Tigran for the introduction, and I also want to express my appreciation to Mher for his explanation, because it's always interesting to hear him speak. I appreciate the bravery it takes to dream about space. I think it takes some. You have to be a little brave to dream about space and surround yourself with people that are ready to dream about space. And that requires a little bit of courage, but it's really the determination to execute so that we can reach those dreams collectively. So it's always a pleasure to be with this group. Okay, so let me start off by giving a little bit of background about myself, and then I'll talk about the HiASat mission. And I'll try not to go too long because I don't want to cover the whole thing. I'm actually more interested in talking about some of the issues that Mher brought up. He brought up a couple issues that we have and concerns that we have in Armenia, and it'll be interesting to have a deep discussion about that. So just a little bit of background. I'm from the United States. I've spent most of my career in the aerospace industry. Mostly, I've been fortunate enough, I have to say, I've been fortunate enough to spend about 2 decades working on, the most advanced satellites in the world. A lot of experience in terms of development. And about 2 years ago, we made a personal and family decision to move to Armenia. And I think within a few months of being in Armenia, I had actually connected with Bazunk, and that's probably where the story begins with HiASat 1. But a little bit of background before we get to that. So I started working at CSI. That's the Center for Scientific Innovation and Education. It's based in Polytechnic. It's a lab where they focus in a couple of directions, but the one they're most successful at right now is bringing in PhD students and postdocs and focusing on flight controls, control systems, autonomous systems for drones. They have a pretty good drone lab there, and staff is growing. And so that CSI is where I started out, and that's where we pulled a group together to form a partnership with Bazum for the HiASat 1 mission. So a few months after arriving, we started discussing what we wanted to do about space, because that's a direction that, of course, is interesting for me, and I have something to offer there. And also, there was a huge desire by the folks interested in space to do something that will take us to the next level. So we put our heads together, we started brainstorming, and I'd say by the beginning of 2022, we had kicked off the HiASat 1 mission. So I'll just give you a high level overview of what we've been up to, I'd say about the past 2 years. But I'm sure there'll be a lot left over for Avetik to explain as well, because there was a lot of work that was put into that one 10 by 10 by 10 CubeSat. It's such a small format, but there's a lot of work that went into that. And that's it's even interesting for me. Even I was surprised because I've worked on satellites the size of rooms and school buses, and so I thought it was a linear. Okay, well, if it's tiny, then it must be easy. But I quickly realized that it's just a smaller scale version of a space system. So I guess we'll start with what we did in the beginning. We'll start with the objectives. Why did we do it? Why did we do it the way we did it? And then we'll kind of walk through it a little bit. I think the objective here, both for Bazumk and CSIE, was to demonstrate to those, to first to ourselves, and then to everyone else around us that space is indeed possible for Armenia. It's not just something that the most powerful countries in the world can do, and Armenia must be a spectator. We wanted to convince ourselves that we don't need to be spectators, and we don't even need to be just consumers, right? We can consume space technology, and we should. We should be users of space technology because that's how we learn. But eventually, we want to move into active participation, contribution to the space industry, become producers of space systems. And so that was the idea. So from the beginning, we said, let's do a demonstration, and that will be like a tech demonstration to show that with a little bit of money, a little bit of dedication from the team, some commitment, some organization, we can architect a basic space system, arrange for import of all the necessary components and materials, test everything that we receive, assemble them, create significant documentation based on that on that process, and not just of the vehicle, but also, like I said, an end-to-end space system. So that would include the infrastructure that goes along with that, and also an operations center, so that we can operate it from Armenia and do the whole integration of the different segments of that system. We actually did exactly what we set out to do. Fortunately, it took a lot of planning, which I think is another underestimated piece of any complex system, is how much planning has to go into it, and how much risk management and risk assessment and mitigation and that type of thing, which I think was just as important as doing some of the hands-on testing, which of course you can't do without. You have to do the hands-on testing, the assembly, the measurements. You have to do some of the software configuration, all the things that you would expect to go into a system such as this. So I won't go into too much details. I just wanted to give you a high-level overview of the project. But the other thing that we decided is not just to do a demonstration, to build the CubeSat, but we wanted to make sure that we can build it, we can test it, convince ourselves it works, and do the logistical part of everything. Arrange for the export, arrange for the launch, and of course, just build the ground station so that we can operate from here. On top of that, we also decided that even if we get it up there, we launch this thing, we find this thing, and we can establish a comlink, that's already a huge success for Armenia, because it proves that we now have a foundation to move forward. But on top of that, we decided we want to do every piece of the whole life cycle of a space system, and that includes payload integration. So you have to have some kind of payload on there, so it's not just establishing a link. And so we debated a little bit about what kind of payload we would do. And I think most people, when it comes to CubeSats, if you don't have any ideas, you say put a camera on there. That's the standard go-to. Get a camera on there, take a picture from a high altitude. But for us, we discussed that, and because of these a 1U CubeSat doesn't have any propulsion, and some of them do, and some of them don't have attitude control systems for pointing, some for stabilization, some for more precise pointing. But we wanted to kind of do that ourselves because CSI had a side project where it was developing an advanced inertial measurement unit, an IMU. And so we said, you know what, let's take that and turn that into, and build upon that, make that a navigation payload, and get that mature enough so that we can actually integrate it onto the spacecraft. And then we'll also, the team will go through a payload integration activity, which, the whole thing is a learning process for everybody. So we decided to do that as well because, well, two reasons. One is it's very important that if we want to continue building spacecraft in Armenia, that we have the ability not just to take pictures, because we could, given the budget, we could have put $100 camera on there and taken pictures of, if this CubeSat is not stable, we could take pictures of, darkness, of nothing. But we wanted to make sure we have some kind of precision pointing ability going forward. And so this attitude determination subsystem that we used as our experimental payload was something that made sense in terms of creating something that can be optimized and then leveraged on the next mission. And then the second reason is, again, for educational purposes, to do payload integration. And I have to say, and I a lot of this I've already said, and I'm glad to repeat, but we had an amazing team. We really, 2 organizations, approximately 10 engineers, mostly part-time, never seen a satellite in person before. We really worked so well together, and I'm really proud of the whole team. And they actually, on the first try, we were able to get this thing on schedule to the launch provider, and launched and deployed and tracked, and it's functioning. We're getting a strong signal from it. This is really an achievement. This is a technical feat, considering most other CubeSat programs, if you look into it, first attempts usually fail.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, if you can, wrap up because we're over 10 minutes already.
Sure. Yeah. I'm happy to pass it on to Avetik. I'm sure he has a lot to add to it. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. Avetik? You are muted.
Okay. Do you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Panelists, for arranging this discussion, because it is a good chance to share our thoughts, our vision of what we are doing, why we are doing, what the country needs, and what are the perspectives for the country. So to present the path that I have passed in this direction, I have to start from what Mher mentioned about the basic problem in aerospace in Armenia. It is the lack of enough specialists in the field. And this is a big problem, and this problem requires long time, long way to pass in order to solve it. So starting from 1988, understanding this problem and seeing that the world is radically changing, I decided to start with education because this is the most important, the basic problem, and which requires great efforts and long time to come to a level when you can start really doing space activity. That is why at that time, in 1988, I created an extra curriculum study group for school students, gathering them who are interested in space and space research, and started teaching them everything related with aerospace fields. And during over the years, a special two-year course, educational course, was developed and actually tested, which turned out to be very efficient due to its methodological know-hows, approaches, and the results were very satisfactory, taking into account numerous medals from international Olympiads that obtained our graduates, many PhDs, doctors, professors, and awards, two awards of presidential awards and also state awards in natural sciences. So these were the results, and I saw that these graduates really achieved great success in their relevant areas, became key specialists, and whatever they chose, they became very passionate in space and always helping that study group that we called IAS Club. It was initially an abbreviation, Armenian Youth Aerospace Society. That is why it was called IAS, but then it became just a name, and we registered together with our graduates, founded and registered IAS Aerospace Society in 2018. And then at the very end of 2020, we founded again together with IAS members, we founded Bazung Space Research Lab. And in 2021, we also founded Armenian Model Rocketry Association. And we have already 4 groups and growing this number, 4 groups, study groups in different educational centers doing model rocketry. And all this activity was aimed towards space, space engineering, space research. And at some moment, Tigran told that we are no more kids, we are no more students, we are specialists, and we can start doing serious scientific research, space research. And that is why we founded Bazung. And the very first goal was to do a project regarding a smallest 1-unit CubeSat. And fortunately, we could find all the specialists that agreed to collaborate. And fortunately, CSIE was following the same goal, the same objective. And we showed how this collaboration was successful, how it helped. And of course, we could do it separately, but together, but it would be much harder and would take much longer time. Together, we did it, and composed a very efficient team that we call, now we are calling it Hayasat team. And we even sometimes don't remember who is from CSI and who is from Bazum. It's one team working together and doing, following the same objectives. And we are glad, I am glad, for example, and I'm proud that some of IAS graduates appeared in that team. Vachik Khachaturian, Haik Martirosyan, and Tigran is also is in our board. And all we were intensively involved in this project, Hayasat-1 project. And we know that the main problem is, the hardest problem is to do the first step. After this step, having this success story, we hope that we can go with more confidence, go forward and do more complex project with bigger satellites, with more serious functionality, and return Armenia to the field of space activity. We had sometimes this potential, lost it after the collapse of USSR, but now we want to get back to those traditions, scientific and technological traditions that Armenia had once during the Soviet years. Thank you.
Thank you, Avetik. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's just continue with some discussion. I have some questions I want to ask and I would like to get everyone's input. I mean, we are discussing about space technology, space research in Armenia. Can you tell us why is it important for Armenia?
Let me start. Everyone thinks that we are dreamers, and I will just not surprise them. We are dreamers. Yeah, we think, we dream of some day, about a day that we will be in space. Technologies much more aggressive, much more, as I told, Armenia will become superpower in aerospace. Why we are dreaming of that? So there is a philosophy that a philosophical question is like, are humans earthy, or they are universal, they are space species? So the answer is that we have born on Earth, but we have to start living or learn how to live in the space and to go to multi-planetary life and so on. This is philosophical viewpoint, but how much is it important for Armenia? So I can tell that the answer is also evident. Answer is we can find in just if we look on the cause of 2020 war result. So we lost that war because of we didn't paid attention, and we just ignored aerospace technologies, and that was some kind of slap for us to just wake up, and yes, I was also in battlefield during that war, and I saw, I felt, and I can analyze all the problems of the war, and the main technological disaster was that there was the front was not in two-dimensional space, but in third dimension. So we had the sky as a third as a front, battlefield front. So this is evident thing. No one can ignore or just quit. So yes, Armenia should become, if we want to live and in that region, so we have to be very strong and very combined on concentrated on aerospace technologies, because also the manifest of these ideas is if we become an aerospace superpower country, if we control the aerospace area, we can have a control on everywhere on the earth. So so it sounds like military, but sorry, there is no way, no other thinking in our region. I mean, if we have looked on the problem there and solutions, there is no political solution. There is no other solution than just having control or some superpower control on technological control. So maybe we will have the chance to live in this region, solving this problem. So what Avetik and Masis were telling about the Hayasat-1. Hayasat-1 is a very important step, small step, but very important step in the line of education, in the path that we have started. So to have the first steps and go forward, it's very important. And internally, all Armenians, they feel, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, if we can, we have a few more questions I want to ask.
I want to
ask everyone, if you want to answer, just try to be very succinct, because I also want to give the participants chance maybe to ask a few questions.
I will wrap up.
Thank you.
So thank you. So the lost. So these steps makes us the expectation of people of Armenians. They expect from they know that there should be some technological or some solution to this problem, huh? And they see and they believe and they trust that the solution exists, and they connect all their dreams of be safe in the region. They are connecting with aerospace technology. When we are telling that, okay, one Hayasat was launched, and they all expect that it will do something that unexpectedly, huh? And that's why uh, their expectations and our the possibilities are not matching. So what and this will match in that time that we will approve step by step people and investors and government that we can do something. Huh? We can do that. We are aware of that changes. Huh? That's it. Thank you. Sorry for long.
Yeah, thank you. Avetik, Masis, you wanna add something? Let's try to to the
Yeah,
point.
I just wanted to, maybe to the feasibility of actually doing something, right? I think I think and I hope it's clear to everybody why it's important, and why we need to do this, and we need to
That's the
make
next
progress.
question.
Okay.
But do we have the capacity really in Armenia?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can go on to the next question if you don't want to add anything. Avetik, maybe.
I would like to mention two aspects regarding importance of this activity. First is educational. We know that space is actually interesting, very multidisciplinary, complex, and unusual, not like the usual common Earth environment that we have around us. And that is why it is very interesting. And that is why it is attracting for students. And when it is interesting, then it gives a chance for involving them in deep educational process and give deep knowledge and thus get the needed professional resources for aerospace field. This is on one hand, and on the other hand, I believe that because aerospace is very multidisciplinary and high technological area, when we succeed in this direction, we automatically become a very efficient locomotive for other high technological fields in Armenia. It means that it will encourage and promote other high technological areas toward development, and as a result, advancement of Armenia in high technologies will lead to more safe country, more prosperous. It will lead to economical development and will solve the problem that Mher was speaking about. That is why such a high technological locomotive is needed for Armenia, regardless even what other problems we have. This is something that is very important and needed in any case. So we believe that this is the main and most important way to rise our country and become have our place in the world, safe place in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, obviously, I think everyone would agree that it's an important field with a lot of influences toward solving some problems, but also affecting other areas like inspiring younger generation to choose high-tech fields. I also wanted to ask, like, what do you think about the Masis you mentioned about feasibility, or like does Armenia has the necessary capabilities to develop the space sciences, space research, space technology?
I'll try to answer that because I wasn't sure at first. I wasn't as familiar, so naturally I didn't know. But I think I have the answer now, and I'm convinced. But let me explain a little bit about why. So what I've noticed coming from the outside, what I've noticed about, and I'm not going to talk about the problems because there'll be a chance and we'll talk about the problems, or maybe I will touch on it a little bit, but I'll talk more about the capabilities. As everyone probably knows, when people think of Armenia and science or tech, they really think about software, right? So we're known to be a country that's quite capable when it comes to software, and you could even argue, I mean, it's world class at this point. Armenia's capabilities in software are probably world class. So that's great. And if you need anything programmed, you can find a coder in Armenia, and they'll program whatever you need. Not a problem. And I'd say I thought there maybe hardware was not developed at all, but there is definitely some capability there in hardware, and probably year over year that's improving. So if you need PCBs designed, you can find hardware engineers, and it's not as easy. They're probably not as common, or not as a little bit more rare, but you can find hardware engineers, and they can design whatever PCBs you want. And the reason I'm talking about all this is because these are the building blocks for space systems, for space technologies. You need to have software and hardware capability. And I think Armenia is at that point now where it is capable of creating those building blocks that you need for a more complex system. And I think now we're at that point where we need to start moving up in that chain and thinking about not just software, code and hardware modules, but we need to start thinking about systems engineering here, and getting Armenia used to not just getting specs and creating solutions to those specs, but actually, or creating products to those specs, but actually creating solutions. So I think what we need to do a little bit more is systems engineering, understand how to do integration. Project management, I think, has been improving in Armenia, mostly driven by software, but that can also apply to systems. And I think the other piece where we need to improve is in engineering management and technical management. But I see progress in all these areas. So a little bit of more, we've got to mature the technical management, mature the systems engineering. I think we have a strong base already for software and hardware. The science aspect associated with space and the challenges associated with space, environmental effects, and everything else. I think we're quite strong in those areas as well. So I definitely see a lot of potential in Armenia, and not just I'm just talking about the hard skills. We talk about a little bit about the approach to work. I'm pleasantly surprised to see a lot of hardworking people, intelligent, hardworking, and always emphasize resourceful, because that's something I think that's our competitive edge actually. In Armenia, where I see it all the time, with very little resources, they're able to solve problems, and so I think once we start getting better at doing good problem definition and then breakdown of requirements, I know that we can solve those problems and develop solutions. So, from my perspective, I've been convinced that we have the potential to enter the space industry and become competitive.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, Mher, I think if you want to add something,
Yeah. Let
yeah,
me.
please be very short. I want to
Yeah.
have some time for others. I have
So
questions already.
about capabilities or possibilities. So I want to bring to your attention two things: that to start from zero, it's not so dangerous and not so scary. Just why? Because in technological and scientific areas, there is a so every day it's growing, it's evaluating. There is an evolution on that line, and when you are jumping into that path, you have a chance to start with optimized technologies. So the traditional, let's say, in rocket propulsion, we do not have rocket engines. We haven't that culture, that traditions in Armenia. Okay, no problem. Maybe we have to look on alternative ways of propulsion, and maybe from scratch we can build with less resources, much more efficient ways we can find, and especially for Armenia. This is something that it's connected with education and the learning how to use the international knowledge in Armenian space technology. So in this case, we have a huge resource of a human resource that okay, we do not have in Armenia, but we have abroad. We have that resources abroad. So as I mentioned, we have there are few nations on the world that they have representatives in both in Roscosmos and NASA, and also ESA. So we can mobilize, do mobilization of human resources also on project based, but we have to have that basement, that environment of starting. So Armenian Aerospace Agency, one of functions of our agency is to make that environment that that everyone can meet their requirements and requirements and the possibilities or people in one place, and they can do their projects very easily, very effective. So maybe we have the chance can be just evaluated like highest because we do not have anything that can hold us being the best.
Thank you, Mher. I wanted to go forward and ask what do you think about what the government of Armenia is doing to help advance this field and actually to get the benefits of advancing this field?
Let me start with so I want to say that in government, I want to be honest. We are facing with not knowledgeable people in the governing government, and so they do not understand the core, the basic things. Why we need to go to aerospace technologies? Why we have to develop it, and why? Because just there are different explanations and causes. One of this is that government people they do not think in long term, so their programs are very short, and they're as if their expectations are just small project, some lots of announcements, PR, promotion, a lot of promotion they are expecting. So space technology, space area is not something that you can just boom and do and have a brilliant result, huh? So that's why the Hayasat-1 and also the other space satellite that was launched approximately 2 years ago. So the expectations was from government that wow effect, and it is just that wow effect. It is bringing that how to say it brought some kind of problems, line of problems after it, because you have to disclose scientific or military something there, and for example, okay, launch was the first satellite, the Spanish one. after launch, two years, we do not have ground station to make a communication. Who is responsible for that? So, for example, $2 million are spent already, wasted, not spent, wasted, but no one is responsible for that. Okay, we will do it on the next year, first quarter of next year. We will. Why? What's going on there? So and when the private parties they want to expect their readiness to do something, so it's becoming already a battlefield. So they're starting to stop that programs, or if that program has that kind of wow effect, okay, we can just go ahead and support that. And government program of space program that for the next year, or for it's not aggressive, it's not even program. So we have to be careful on what they need, what their ability is, and how space programs are interacting with their political programs. So that's why I think that we have to go first steps with free of that political interactions. We have to go with private and only private. So we are trying to collaborate with the government, but always it's not efficient. For example, in Amadi 24 program is Mars mission to Armenia. So it's a scientific engineering program that we are collaborating with Austrian Space Forum. But governments, answer to this program is zero. I mean, they are not interested because the wow effect is not there. I mean, this is what is the relationship. We will have in the future a government that will have that they will need aerospace agency, aerospace. They will understand the importance of this sphere. Okay, we will meet with that government. It will be great, but we will the things we are doing now is for the future, is not for our government. This is the point.
Thank you. Avetik, Masis, you want to add something? I also want to add, because we are short of time, like another question. Maybe if you're answering, you can combine. What do you think is needed actually, like to advance this field, especially like from the government side, infrastructure wise or like projects wise?
I just wanted to speak about it in that clue. I mean, what we need to success in aerospace, to have success for our country, first of all, we need to create a chain starting from middle school, then high school, then master's level, then bachelor's level, master's level in the universities. I mean, education, aerospace related education not only general high quality education, but especially in that direction. And then finally up to space research laboratories like Bazunk, CSIE, and others. And for those companies, we will need also gradually create all the necessary infrastructure, I mean, laboratory equipment, testing equipment, clean rooms, and so on. But also, we need to advance in the direction of having working. We cannot, in this area, we cannot reject completely working with government, because this activity cannot happen without government. Always in this field, any activity is going through the government and related with the documentation that is needed abroad, and so on. And we need to work with government to have more really ambitious space strategy, space program, and enhanced laws for space activity and regulations, customs, and so on, to facilitate this activity, to get rid of all unnecessary obstacles that stops us, makes our work harder. And we need to work in all these directions to develop our capabilities. It's our own goal, and these efforts we need to have in all directions: education, legislative, and infrastructural. And of course, collaboration in aerospace field with other countries will be very helpful for private companies and also for the government to make all this process as quick as possible. We see the example of China, India, and so on. They didn't start from scratch. They just transferred the technologies learned from other countries, spacefaring countries, and did actually the same, and are doing the same steps that those main countries have done, but they did it much quicker, based on the experience that was gained before. These are the main directions of our efforts to succeed. That's it.
Thank you. Masis, you want to add something?
Sure. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. I think, yes, and I'll just try to sum it up. But from a government, in terms of government involvement, it's a bit tricky, but I think we need to have some kind of a hybrid approach. Because it's true, yes, usually the barriers of entry into the space industry were so high that you needed to have government resources in order to do that. Things have changed now. Even startups are now actively engaged and involved in space and creating space tech and even deploying space assets. And there's a huge space economy there, so you can commercialize this whole thing with startups. You could take that route, but eventually you're going to need to coordinate approvals, paperwork, registrations, all that type of stuff through government bodies and then international organizations as well. So I think we need to take some kind of hybrid approach, but that doesn't mean certain organizations can't be purely private, and that's totally natural and normal, and it's good. I think we need to diversify. We need to have research labs. We need to have private organizations, commercial startups, educational, academic institutions. I think we need the entire spectrum, and that's how we build this healthy space ecosystem. So, and I think we're on our way. When we first started HiSat-1 2 years ago, there was really nothing. I'm trying to think what there was at the time. And there, as far as I knew, there was nothing. But since the 2 years that we started, and half of these things are not because of HiSat, they're just in parallel with HiSat. But in these 2 years, without us knowing, I mean, the Armenian government was already doing this behind the scenes. They bought and arranged for Armsat-1 that got launched, and now they're the owners of that satellite. So that's being used. There was Star Moose. There was a few other things. A clean room was built. Now we have a ground station at Basel. We have I think the Armsat ground station. There's so much going on. Everything that Mher is doing. There's the Mars simulation that Mher was talking about. That's coming up. There's a lot of momentum here, and things I think we're gaining momentum, and I don't think we're going to go back. I think we're definitely going to go forward from here. And in terms of what do we need to continue that momentum, organizationally, I'd say a couple of things. I would say education. I agree with Avetik. We need to focus on education. There's also in the past 2 years, there's now also a master's degree in aerospace engineering that Avetik is involved in. A lot of progress. So we need to continue with the education. We need to have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in aerospace with aeronautics and space as separate tracks. We need to focus more again on systems engineering, like I said, from a technology perspective. I'd say start thinking about how to apply software, because it's not just about software-defined radios now. We're talking about software-defined satellites. So we need to really start thinking about how do we apply our software strengths or expertise in terms of AI, onboard processing, et cetera. That's definitely a direction we need to spend some energy strategizing about. RF, antennas, radios, et cetera. There's expertise there that we can leverage as well. Technologies I think that we need to focus are mostly on things that we can't buy. So we can buy a lot of things off the shelf on the open market, and whatever we can, I think that's where we need to focus. Facilities, I think one other area that would be helpful is to continue building ground stations. I think the ground stations are essential. I think one is not enough, of course. We need to have bigger and more capable ground stations. And another is environmental test facilities. We have some basic ancient fixtures from the Soviet Union. It's a miracle they're still working. We're fortunate that we have that, but I think we need to start looking at more modern environmental fixtures with modern precise controls for those chambers. And I think that's not something a commercial startup would do. That might be something Polytechnic or any of these universities as an educational activity, as a scientific endeavor. They can build these environmental test facilities and manage them and learn a lot from them in terms of science. But that also serves a very useful purpose to all our organizations that are involved in the space ecosystem. And we can leverage that. And so I think that's another opportunity for a win-win. Thermal vacuum chambers, vibration tables, etc.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt. We are over our time. I just want to wrap up. Thanks for the discussion. I just wanted to add from myself a few words regarding the last point, like what's the government role here that we should expect. I think first of all that one thing that we are missing is that there's no recognition from the government side that this is really an area which is an essential tool for solving our problems, the state needs, covering the state needs. And there's a critical role that the government should be playing with coming up with the regulations, proper regulations. Not actually, we have right now regulations which are very impeding, I would say, and they are very reluctant to actually adapt it accordingly. Then to have some kind of comprehensive strategy, which is also we don't have until now. All the drafts that we have seen are pretty useless, I would say. So there's a critical role, but everything comes from the recognition that this is a tool for solving problems. So I would say that that's the most critical thing that I see. Anyway, I don't want to become one of the panelists. I'm the moderator, so I don't know. I didn't see any questions in the chat. How should we proceed? Like, do we want to discuss? And you mentioned also that Razmik wants to say something.
Yeah, if Razmik wants to say anything, Razmik Abnus, please go ahead. And
first of all, thanks for this organizing this talk. And I think what's going on here is very fundamental area of technology development for Armenia. I think we've seen, all of us, we've seen all the space programs that is going on in the world, SpaceX, India's space program that I think both several of the speakers speak to. I think it's very important. This is an area that's going to develop, and it's going to be one of the. I think that there's AI, and I also think the space program is going to be as big as AI, just because there's so much outside the Earth that hasn't been uncovered or explored or commercialized. So I think it's a huge opportunity for Armenia to be part of it. Having said that, again, my background, just one sentence. I am a software guy, so a lot of things I'm going to say, I'm trying to sort of look at the software industry, try to apply it to what's going on here. So like, I think in the software industry, I think Masis talked to it about the solutions, solution-focused direction. And also, I think another thing I think it's happening that some of the speakers talk to is, I'll call it the democratization of space, meaning that we are going to see lots of cheaper open source or components that our business isn't going to be building those components. Our business is going to be how do we assemble them. And one of the questions I have is, since there's some really big initiatives, like, for example, SpaceX and SpaceX-like company, have you looked at how Armenia can be a solution provider to some of these big commercial organizations like SpaceX, like Indian? Instead of trying, I know I heard the reliance on government and what government of Armenia can do, but I've been involved with the Armenian government the last 20 some plus years in software. It's a slow path, we all know, but the same reason why semiconductor industry happened fast in Armenia wasn't because of government. It was because of the need from the outside world that drove development of the semiconductor industry. And so has there been any kind of I'll call it a business development, or trying to get Armenia space activity known to this institution, see whether there's kind of a solution can be provided for companies or countries who want to launch, say, SpaceX package, that Armenia can provide some solution of the open source components that it makes it easier to launch such thing. Has any such thing has happened? So again, I'm just pointing to one example of what the solution could be, but I'm not a space expert. Yeah.
I'd say not yet, but the whole point of ISAT was to put us on the map, was
Yep.
to put us on the space map. And now that we have a satellite up there that we're responsible for, we're now on the map, and we can start those international collaborations. We can talk about it from a point of view of having experienced that life cycle of building the spacecraft. And of course, we don't necessarily have to just build spacecraft buses. We could do modules, we could do payloads. Like you said, we could do a piece of larger solution. And so I think there's so much potential there, but we need to start putting together a strategy. And that could be either a cohesive strategy led by, I don't think it'll be led by government. It'll probably be like you said, led by private companies or a consortium of private organizations, ideally. But I think that's all in process right now.
Okay, thank you.
I want to, Razmjan, I want to just tell that there are two ways of collaboration. So open source is one. Open source resources are one of interesting aspects. The other one is products or services or technologies that it's very sophisticated, and we can collaborate with SpaceX, with private sector and government sectors. As you know, a lot of governments during this last 10 years are involved in aerospace area. They have their own space agencies, and they have already developed their interests in space programs, their own space programs. And for example, I want to say that in Armenia, and working with government and private sector and everything is based on trust. So there is a issue of trust, as Tigran told. Government is not trusting the private sector to the scientific groups, what they are doing. They are not trusting scientists. Scientists are not trusting government, and all these things. We have to improve that as an our space aerospace capabilities and knowledge, and to come up with an offers that will be recognized by private and companies and also space agencies. For example, we can offer a new technology, new type of engines, electrical engines for aerospace flights. But it's not. We shouldn't do it but personally. So we have to develop that technology. We have to come up with a already high-end solution. So in this case, it's you have a product you want to sell, but also you have to have all this infrastructure and environmental things, like Avetik told about the legal things. You have to have that even though that documentation that you have to provide. So you have to have that organization that can handle that. So this is not only about just short-term business. I mean, it's a long-lasting, long-going big project. Everything is becoming a big project.
Okay. All right, Meher, thank you very much. And thank you for your comments. I guess John wants to say a couple of words.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Panosian. Thank you, panel. You were wonderful. I just want to quote Ronald Reagan here. Ronald Reagan once said, the government is not the solution, government is the problem. And I need to give you an example from the US. Professor here, Leo Lederman, in his book, he has a very interesting story. When the US were trying to build a particle accelerator in Texas, he argued with them, with the Senate and Congress. There was a committee, and they thought that the US does not need a particle accelerator. And till today, we don't have one that matches the sun. And a lot of our students from Caltech and MIT, they go to France to study, France, Switzerland. Another thing, when an engineering professor in Berkeley invented the drone, and he went to the Pentagon to tell them how important drones are for military purposes, the generals there gave him few minutes to do his presentation. And then one of the generals said, Mr. Abraham, this is not Toys R Us. You are in the wrong building. Go to Toys R Us. Toys R Us is a big toy manufacturer in the US. So actually, they told him to get the hell out of there, and they kicked him out. And we know how it ended. Not to mention that, politicians don't understand these things. Hitler, for example, did not want a machine gun, Sturmgewehr, which ended up to be the AK-47. I can go on and on and on. Now, I am a teacher, and when I teach difficult mathematical concepts in calculus, my students don't understand. And they are pretty smart kids, almost talented. Definitely, some of them are smarter than me. Am I to be blamed, or they are to be blamed? I think I'm to be blamed. I did not present it properly. What we have to understand is, with all due respect to our government, they are, I know a lot of them, they are poets. They studied art, they studied Arapaki Duchun, Yevailen, and so on and so forth. They don't know that what is the difference between square root of 2 and square root of 1, How are we gonna present these things to them? We have to treat them respectfully, but like as middle school children, and explain it slowly to them. We had that problem with a lot of scientists talking with the prime minister, and the papers they gave him, because they then showed it to me, it's unbelievable. If you don't have a degree in physics, you may not understand what they wrote. So it's our job to distill things, make it simple, step by step, and maybe some animation. And remember, they are interested in, as Mehran said, propaganda. We can tell them how would that benefit the country, how employment would be improved. Then the spin-offs. It's something that I'm almost done. I'm almost done, Dr. Panosian. NASA always publishes spin-offs. If they do this, what are the spin-offs? And we have to also discuss spin-offs. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Pano.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Dikram, for the nice moderation you did, and also Mher, Avetik, and Masis for the excellent discussion. We are going to have a panel discussion in January related to what the history textbooks that teach students about Armenian history should be about. Essentially, it's related to a new textbook that was written, and there's a lot of controversy about the contents of this history textbook. And we are going to have a discussion on as to, with all these new activities going on in politics and trying to create an atmosphere of peace, and especially with our neighbors, what should be the Armenian student, what should they learn? How should we present our history so that we can live together as a people and neighbors? So you will get your notices soon, and so we will see how that goes. Thank you very much again, and goodbye.
Doctor, very
Thank
quickly,
you. Goodbye.
what is the
Goodbye.
textbook? For
Thank
those of
you,
us that
everyone.
aren't familiar with it.
That's okay. We can talk privately.
Okay.